Yes.
And most guiding services insist that you are from one of these schools.
Yes.
After this course, we now insist that all our guides have done the NOLS course, at least something.
All right.
And I see the value in it.
Yes.
And I see how different it is from how we teach things here.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what more can, like a professional guiding service, what more can we learn? How can we, of course, individuals can go and take courses.
Yeah.
But are there any ways in which a professional guiding service can be learned?
Right. Good. You know, there are cases where you've done contract courses for groups, or where we've even collaborated, say, on a cliff rescue or other type of class, and so those are opportunities. Another way of collaboration is just in what you do every day, because yes, you're more on the guiding side, but the school and the guiding side, I think, run together in many ways. And I think the best guides, as you've basically pointed out reading between the lines, are those who also are educators of it. Because even though people may want to get out or up or over, they like to learn things along the way. And I think emphasizing that to both your employees and then looking for opportunities with NOLS there can be wonderful. And it goes both ways, because many of our graduates are, you know, family members or friends of graduates. Sometimes they may get their first exposure to something by going on a guided experience, and that can be a good first step for many people. So I guess, yes, there's some opportunities. The other thing, just pointing out that doing what you do every day is part of the, in some ways, part of the mission. Yes?
So I find it very inspirational what NOLS has been doing for so long, and especially in the US. Now that there is a NOLS India,
Yeah.
you know, what you've been able to achieve in the US, like you were saying, over the long term, is have senators and people in government who had those courses and therefore believe in the outdoors and are able to therefore, you know, not proselytize but really care about the environment, which is not the case in India right now. And is there have you thought about a long-term game plan for India where this influence, you know, you reach out to the right mailers and influence a much larger segment of the population over a longer period of time, because that's the change we need here.
Yeah.
And that's a really tough task from what I see, personally. And so have you thought about a longer-term game plan for India, being able to replicate that model that you have in the US over here over a much longer period of time?
Right.
Like you said, you know, there are existing schools from out here in India, but you know, environmentally and maybe working with the schools, working with the government, which is something that's needed. Otherwise, it's not. I don't know how it's going to happen.
Yeah. Let me take a stab at that first by answering about the U.S. Because when Paul started the school, started with a couple of handfuls of students, called it the National Outdoor Leadership School. He never envisioned it would go that broad in the U.S. And sometimes it seems, maybe it's the case for everyone, but in a business, sometimes it seems incredibly slow. You know, you say, oh, you want revolutionary change and over here, but those changes sometimes have to be incremental. And so over time, in almost 50 years, we can now look back and say, wow, we've kind of influenced things in the United States, but it didn't always feel like that, right? So now on to India. I would say the same applies. We start small, and we often start small because we want to start with our own staff program and the quality control and curriculum. Yet, over time, you already see significant changes, and you hope for more changes. When we choose another country, which probably goes here specifically to India, to be involved in, we don't go in and say, where do Americans just want to go? We ask a couple of questions. One, is there wilderness or are there wild areas? And is there a classroom? If there's no classroom, like NOLS isn't going to position in Singapore. We could, I mean, other outer bound may be in Singapore because they're on just personal growth. But we're about truly the outdoors, so we aren't going to go there. Just make sure I don't talk too fast, because I can really get going sometimes, but also, so NOLS isn't going to be in Singapore, but we look for areas where number one, there's classroom, and number two, where in the long term we feel that at least half the students and the majority of the staff can be from that country. when we started here, we had almost no Indian staff. And now, during the year, you must have 2/3 of your staff are Indian at least. And then we have this mix of course, once we train our Indian staff, then they all want to go work in Alaska or the Pacific Northwest or somewhere else. And so, which is all great in many ways and a part of it, right? We're an international school. But, so therefore, it's, I would say for us, it's bit by bit. It's also recognizing, while in some ways we may get occasionally bristly about competition, we actually love creating our own competition, or maybe not exact competition, but like the guiding organizations. If guiding organizations thrive, if programs that work with young people and adventure programs, even if they're done and conducted in an urban setting or an outdoor urban setting, if they thrive, we view it's all part of our success. So we're one of those that, for us to, again, it goes back to we can only reach so many people so fast, but if we can cause others to do work in the area, even if it's not us, we applaud that. So at one level, yes, our goal is to be there, but we recognize we just have to keep plotting and Squirrel's contributions. Other questions? Yes?
My questions are on accessibility.
Yes?
With regards to getting onto a new
Yes?
most people actually want to do the most program is children's medicine, ELI. The course is truly very costly.
Yes.
And for some of them it might be the entire year same.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some cost process around scholarships?
Right.
How do you make it more accessible to people who are actually going to work, whether it's the community service,
Yeah.
or it's something coming off one of the engineering courses?
Yeah,
Is that possible?
excellent question. And overall, the school puts forth about $1.6 million US a year in scholarship support, and anyone can apply for it, internationally, domestically, whatever. It does come with financial need. We also look at what someone wants to do with their NOLS education. So we are biased a little bit more toward people that are going to use it in some more direct way in their work. And the other key with scholarship support is, and it can be done, by the way, I should have mentioned this, but there's catalogs here. Take them. We also have a website, and on there you can also find information on financial aid. Don't wait to the last minute and apply for financial aid. You won't get it at the last minute, and it's futile. So it's key to start early in planning. And then in addition to that, what we have done in some locations, and I envision, and we do a little bit right now, but I envision we will probably look at more, is different price points in different countries. But that kind of happens as, you know, as we move along in an organization or in a time and a location. But I would just make the point that we've had many Indian students come on courses on scholarship. Many Indian students that have paid full tuition too, but starting early. And you can also contact Robbie. Not that you need to go through Robbie, you can also go through our U.S. office, but it's not a bad option to go through Robbie and get his contact information here. So I make no promises, but I grew up in a dairy farm in Minnesota. I realize, you know, Americans on average are wealthy compared to Indians on average, but though that gap's, our economy's been bad enough that gap's getting closer. But I grew up, my dad had polio when he was young. He was a disabled dairy farmer. I never had been on an airplane. I never had any opportunity like that. The scholarship opportunities gave me the chance to go on a course. And so I strongly believe in providing that scholarship support. But of course we have to raise that money. And so I certainly raise money from supporters around the U.S. primarily, and we need to do more of that to grow that scholarship pool. We're not at what, I'm not sure if they have that term here, but in the U.S. needs blind. Do you have that? Needs blind is that if you accept whether it's a college class or a high school class or a NOLS course, that you guarantee that regardless of what they can pay, everyone can come. We don't have enough resources yet to be that. But someday, going back to your someday, we hope to be in that place. I'll take maybe one more question and then we'll just wrap it up. And if there is another question, yes?
I did the trip leader course back in 2000.
Yeah.
And Ravi was our course leader then.
You must know everything.
I know a lot about Ravi. Okay, and then the trip leader course was discontinued.
Yeah.
So I want to know if it's back on. Do you plan to start it again over here? I think it's a wonderful course, and in fact, soon after I did that course, I took a group to the Himalayas.
Oh,
One
yeah?
of the girls got altitude sickness, and we had to actually make a stretcher and bring her back.
Wow.
So it really paid off.
All right.
And but I want to know if you have plans of starting that course again.
3 years now. We've done 2 courses a year.
3 years?
Since 3 years.
Okay. It's all.
That's
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We have some graduates from the last course also in this room right now.
Yeah. And you know, I should say on that, while we're not a franchise model, we hold pretty tight quality control in how we expand. Once we expand and open up, we really trust the leaders and the locations we're at. One exciting thing for me here is to really learn more about our program. That may sound silly, but you know, I used to, when the school was smaller, know so much, and now I've learned a lot about what we're doing just in my time over here. So that's a joke. So I'm learning as I go too. I said that was it, but I'll take one last question if there is. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Oh, yes.
First of all, I must introduce myself to you. I'm Major P.S. Hami.
All right.
I'm actually principal of NIM and HMI.
Okay.
My main thing is, would you like to associate yourself with the Indian Mountain Foundation? I'm a member of Indian Mountain Foundation also, and if you're interested in climbing also, why don't we take a joint expedition with the NOLS instructors and our own instructors, so that we can, exchange our techniques and modern techniques, whatever you're using or whatever we are using from here at HMI and NIM. I was in fact in touch with Ravi. So that's what is my one, what you call it, submission. Why don't you see on that,
Right.
if possible?
Yeah, Ravi mentioned this. Just this is the one you mentioned, right? And I would say there's definitely openness on our side. In fact, it was years ago. Early on in our program here, we had one international expedition that was roughly half Indian, half American, and a number of my friends, climbers at that of that era, were on it. And so I think there's great potential there. It's a matter of doing the legwork and getting the people.
What I was proposing, Ravi, was the number of unclimbed peaks, unsummited peaks in India, specifically in Gangotri region, above 22,000. 6,800 meters, 6,900 meters. Pila Pani Pavat is also one that. So I'm proposing to take on one expedition next year, coming here, post-monsoon. And if possible, we can make it as a joint expedition with the NOLS instructors, and then we can go.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd be great. We just need, as you know, the right people and the right objective and put that together. But Ravi would be not to put another thing on his plate, but it would be the key contact here on that. Okay, thanks so much for being here. Thanks again for your interest in NOLS. And with that,
thank you.
that's it. Do that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.